NASA and the Planetary Society.
F for forward, R for right, L for left.
20 years ago, a Soviet moon rover was controlled by long-distance radio signals from Earth. What makes this test noteworthy is the advanced use of something called telepresence, which sends more data back from the rover. Among the benefits, a speedier response time between when a command is sent and carried out.
Well, like everything looks very, very good.
The additional data will also allow scientists to create a virtual reality model of the Mars landscape, permitting every rover experiment to have an initial test run inside a computer.
You would be able to do simulations before you do the actual path.
Also this week, the United States and Russia agreed to a joint venture that could place Russians and Americans working side by side in a space station before the end of the decade.
The combined station will be significantly better than any of the options that we could orbit on our own. It will have more power, significantly more capacity for science experiments.
The agreement includes payment to the Russians of $400 million by 1997. The joint venture must still be approved by Congress. Joseph Coates is a professional futurist, one of an increasing number of people who actively think about the future and make a living by sharing their thoughts, often in thought-provoking sound bites like this one.
The three enabling technologies that will have the most dramatic effect in the next 2 decades are information technology, genetics, and materials.
That excerpt from a story broadcast a few weeks ago was enough to whet our appetites and to cause David George to delve further into the predictions of Joseph Coates, futurist.
We encountered Joseph Coates at a convention of futurists, interviewed him out under the trees, within earshot of a waterfall we could hear but couldn't see, got him talking about talking in a future in which anybody will be able to talk to anybody else from any place, any time.
And of course what that means is not just verbal communication, speech, but image to image, data to data, data to person. We'll be able to do these things interactively. So we're really talking about a substantial step up in what information technology is going to do.
No real surprises there. But ask Coates about materials, the stuff from which things are made, and he predicts changes so great he calls them revolutionary.
What's happening now in the materials revolution is the capability to combine almost arbitrary features in a single material. So that you may want a glass that conducts electricity, you may want a ceramic that bends easily, you may want a ceramic material that combines with an organic polymer, you may want a ceramic that's drillable, you may want a glass that has certain unprecedented melting or molding capabilities.
Joseph Coates says all those things will be possible in the future.
It's a great world ahead.
But the world of living things in Joseph Coates' vision of the future is the kind of world some critics warn might not be so great. It's a world in which humans will have unprecedented influence over nature, thanks to our growing knowledge of genetics.
Genetics. I think the key thing about genetics is that we have developed a technology and are rapidly developing a technology for manipulating, controlling, processing, and altering the genetic message in humans, in plants, in animals, in microorganisms.
In an example of the kind of control Coates is talking about, scientists have produced genetically altered tomatoes that resist spoilage. Coates says humans actually eat only about 10% of the world's roughly 3,000 varieties of edible plants.
Why aren't those other hundreds or thousands eaten? Because they each have some kind of defect. They rot too easily, they don't taste good, they have too tough a husk, they take too much energy to cook, they smell bad, whatever. All of that's going to be changed as we make them, so to speak, acceptable and edible.
Genetic experiments on animals have produced cows that give more milk and pigs that produce a scarce protein vital to humans. Coates says the next step may be the genetically engineered human being.
Keep in mind, if you can do it with pigs, you can do it with people.
Critics say the $3 billion effort to map the human genome opens the door to all sorts of potential abuses. Coates sees only potential benefits.
We're on the brink of being able to identify the genetic base of perhaps 3,500 human diseases and disorders. We're going to be able to intervene in them effectively to prevent or correct. We're going to have an explosion of biomedical research in the next century that's literally unprecedented, as each of these genetic markers to allow you to say, I do or do not have a susceptibility, I will or will not get, the probability is or is not. As we move to that state of knowledge, we're going to move to the massive research commitment to influence, shape, and control those diseases, to the ability to exercise for the first time in history a species' capability to influence its own evolution. And that's the brink that we're on, ready to move in that direction.
Joseph Coates says there will have to be what he calls a period of learning to use genetic technology under careful controls. Critics who fear the technology might be misused, he says, are simply wrong. David George, CNN, Future Watch.
Joseph Coates practices the futurist's trade in Washington, D.C., where he's president of a consulting firm whose motto is "The future is our business." And that's all the business we have time for this week. Thanks for watching. For all of us on Future Watch, I'm Donna Kelly.
I'll never forget it. It was a big game. And it was all up to me. For years, I've been wishing I'd swung at that pitch. Hit or miss, at least I'd have given it a shot. So, if you're a guy who wants to find out more about Rogaine with minoxidil, whether it's for you, don't just stand there with a bat on your shoulder. Find out about it.
To find out about Rogaine topical solution, call 1-800-666-9991, and Upjohn will send you an informative brochure about Rogaine. And because only a doctor can prescribe Rogaine, they'll even send you a list of local doctors who can help you decide about it.
If you'd like to find out more about Rogaine with minoxidil, don't stand there with the bat on your shoulder. Make the call now.